I once had a young pastor's wife told me that if she had known that the challenges she was going through as part of the package of being a pastor's wife, she would not have married a pastor. I'm sure many of us as pastor's wife can relate with this. But what if your husband got called into the ministry after you married him? I'm sure you're not just going to leave him or divorce him because of that. Being a pastor's wife comes with a lot of joy. It comes with a lot of challenges, expectations, both from people and from yourself. Talk about loneliness. Talk about balancing ministry and family life. Talk about raising godly children, burnt out, need for self-care, and even expectation. We are going to be looking at these different topics in different episodes on this podcast. So I want to encourage you to please remember to always join us. Welcome back to Times of Refreshing Encouragement for Pastor's Wife. My name is Toyin, and if you're new here, you are very, very welcome. We are so glad to have you. Here we talk about our joys, we talk about our calling as pastor's wife, and we talk about our challenges, and we encourage one another in these challenges. So I want to encourage you to always come back so that you can be part of this great community by contributing, by suggesting to us what you want us to talk about, and we will definitely make good on that. So today on Times of Refreshing, we want to talk about the weight of silent expectations. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. So today, like I said, we are going to be looking at the weight of silent expectations. And I'm sure you and I must have experienced it at one time or the other. Being a pastor's wife goes beyond, the title. It is actually a calling that God has called you to, even as you join your husband in the ministry. But sometimes it feels like you're carrying more than you should. If you're not careful and you are trying to meet all the expectations, you can be sure it can easily lead to burnt out or the feeling of being alone. So we are going to look at what some of these expectations are, and we're going to talk about how you and I as a pastor's wife can handle them so that we do not get burnt out, we do not get overwhelmed, and so that we can still do well in our role as pastor's wives. There's an unspoken expectation to be perfect as a pastor's wife. We're expected to always have the right word, the right smile, the right attitude, the right dressing, and the very right outlook to everything, no matter what we are going through inside of us. This is quite unattainable because the only perfect person is the Lord God Almighty. But we all are trying to attain to that perfection. So when you do not meet that expectation of perfection, it's not a time to beat yourself down. Know what to do, which we are going to discuss very soon, and you'll be okay at the end of the day. And also, knowing how to manage people's expectation from the onset would help you not to feel overburdened, not to feel overwhelmed, and not to feel pressured all the time. I expect you to be available 24/7. But what happens when your own cup feels quite empty or overfull? What are you expected to do? Those are the times that you just have to know that you are a human being and manage people's expectation and let people know that you cannot be available 24/7. Having identified some expectations that can actually stress us, let's see how we can actually manage people's expectations. As a pastor's wife, managing expectation can actually feel like walking on a tightrope because you want to be able to support your spouse, you want to serve your church, and also care for your family. But oftentimes, it feels like everyone expects more than you can actually give. When we actually put some of these practical steps into place, we'll be able to manage people's expectation of us and protect our well-being. The first thing I want to advise you to do is to define your role clearly. Not every pastor's wife would be in the choir or lead the choir or be the women ministry leader, or even teach in Sunday school. And that's okay, because you see, your role is not dictated by traditions or other people's opinion, but it is dictated by what God has called you to do. So what you need to do is to pray about your unique calling and communicate this and your boundaries to your spouse and to your church leadership. Let people know who you are and how you are led to serve. We must also practice saying no gracefully. Saying yes to every request can quickly lead to burnout. It is important for us to set limits without feeling guilty about it. For example, instead of saying, I can't do this, why don't you try saying, I'd love to help, but I need to focus on what I already have at hand, what I've already committed to. You also need to build a very strong support system, because isolation is a common challenge for pastors' wives, especially when trust issues or fear of gossip arises. Seek out relationships with people who understand your journey as a pastor's wife. One of the things you can do is to join a network of pastor's wives. I can never say that enough. Or connect with other trusted mentor who can provide you with encouragement when you need it, and also perspective. You must also let go of perfectionism. The expectation to always be cheerful, presentable, and available is exhausting. Honestly, we all do it as pastor's wife at times. God has not called us to perfection. He has called us to faithfulness. We need to trust that His grace will fill us where we fall short, so that we do not follow perfectionism all the time. Also, learn to delegate and empower others. Don't do everything by yourself. Empower others in the church to step into leadership roles and take on tasks. If someone approaches you as a pastor's wife with a request, ask who else in the church could help with that particular request and delegate it to that person. It is also very important for us to practice self-care. Our spiritual, mental, and emotional health is very crucial to managing expectation. Some of the things you can do is to learn to spend intentional quiet time with God daily. Learn to take regular breaks, even if it's a short walk or a coffee break from what you're doing. Seek professional counseling or get spiritual guidance when you feel you need it. Also, remember to communicate openly with your husband about what you're feeling. Talk to your husband about the pressure that you're feeling and how overwhelming it is for you. As a team, both of you work out strategies to address challenges and set boundaries together. This really would help you. For instance, you can let your husband know when you need a break from attending certain church events. The other day, we had a youth program going on in church, and of course, I really wanted to be there so that I can support our youth and also give them guidance if there's any need. But there was so much on my plate, and there was nothing I could do. And I spoke to my husband to let him know that I'm going to pass on this particular one. And he actually understood, because I told him all the things I needed to do. Another thing you can do is to focus on pleasing God and not man. Because at the end of the day, your ultimate responsibility is to please God and not everyone around you. When you live for God and you live for God's approval, the weight of others' expectation lightens upon your life. Galatians 1:10 says that, am I now trying to win the approval of human beings of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I'm still trying to please people, I will not be the servant of Christ. That is the word from the Holy Book. Having said all this, I just want you to remember that managing expectation as a pastor's wife is an ongoing process that requires grace for yourself and for others. Set realistic boundaries. Lean on God's strength to carry you through. And remember, you're called to walk in His steps. I haven't looked at some of the tips that can help us to overcome some of the expectations that are not realistic today. Why don't you go ahead and share in the comment section which of these tips actually resonates with you? And if you have had to manage expectations before as a pastor's wife, what did you do to manage it? Share with us in the comment box below. We would love to hear from you. And if you have not yet done so, go ahead, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You see that small bell button? Go ahead and click on it so that every time our broadcast comes up, you'll be the first to know that we are broadcasting. Until next time, on Times of Refreshing, encouragement for pastor's wife, stay motivated, stay encouraged, and have a wonderful time. God bless you also.